I'm running a little bit late for work, but more importantly, before we leave for work, because they can wait, the new Star Wars trailer to watch. Alright, let's watch The Last Jedi teaser before we go to work. And the teaser, I expect not a lot.
Just breathe. Now, reach out.
Touch me!
What do you see? Light.
His mask is fucked out.
Darkness. The balance. It's so much bigger.
That's a cool shot. So far in this teaser is just great cinematography. Well, they're fucked then, I guess.
I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end.
So wait, let's watch it about 10 more times at least today. Time for work! Let's get pumped for sale! Okay, let's go over the teaser trailer thing. It opens like the Force Awakens teaser, Rey awakening, suddenly shocked like Finn did in the Force Awakens teaser, which is cool. I suppose you could automatically presume that here she's just been training or something, but I'm going to presume that she's just had a vision. She looks similarly stunned to when she had a vision in the Force Awakens when she touches Luke's lightsaber for the first time. So I'm going to presume here she's just had a vision. Then we get a bunch of beautiful shots of Acto, I think it's called Acto, something like that. I'll get to the lines of dialogue that are actually being said in voiceover in just a little bit. We get a bunch of shots of Rey training, her looking over a cliffside, all this sorts of stuff, and then there's one in a bit where she's training on this big wide shot of her like training and Luke's like standing in the background. That's all cool. We get a back shot of General Organa standing over like a command center place. It looks like this could be on a ship, presumably after the Resistance base is attacked later in the trailer that we get to see. And now she's on this ship commanding, I don't know, it could be way later in the movie. I'm just gonna presume she's on there after they escape or something like that. And there's this shot of Kylo Ren's smashed helmet. It seems a bit pointless to me. I don't know why he would get a new helmet and just smash it in the same movie. That's a bit weird. And then I'm like, well, if it's the old helmet that was left on Starkiller Base, why are we seeing it? It's just, whatever. Yeah, Kylo Ren's helmet smashed. I get it. Or maybe it's supposed to be symbolism for the fact that he's giving up, trying to be less... He's trying to give up to the whole idea of being more like Vader. Maybe he's just embracing who he is now. Maybe it's supposed to be symbolic. Don't really know. You get this cool shot of these books which appear to be inside a tree, the tree that we see later in the trailer, right at the very end where Luke's standing in the entryway. It looks to be the same area. These books I will get to in just a moment. We get a new planet, Krat. I don't know if you're supposed to say it with an accent or not, but you get to see these cool flare ships or something running down at AT-ATs, however you say them. That's cool. Very similar to Empire Strikes Back, although they don't really want to be drawing too much relation to Empire Strikes Back because everyone will start freaking out and saying, first you just copy A New Hope, now you remake it. Dope. Shut up. There's a shot of Finn in a neck brace in like a healing pod thing. Cool. I originally thought that was going to tease out that Finn's fate, how he was going to be, if he was going to have like a mechanical side put into him, if he was going to be in a wheelchair forever, because that would be interesting for a Star Wars character. But they apparently showed shots of him up and around walking at Celebration. You just don't see one in the trailer. So I'm like, whatever. I mean, he gets up eventually. He makes friends with the new character, whose name I can't remember at this time. The new character is not seen in this trailer. That's one of my things about this teaser. It's all for the characters that we know. I think when we get around to the next teaser or the first trailer, they'll start introducing us to the new characters that are coming in this movie. But this first teaser is very much just to tease out the fate and what's happening with all the characters that we already know. There's this cool moment where Poe and BB-8, of course, are running away. They're trying to get to Poe's X-Wing when it gets blown to fuckery, presumably by stormtroopers, Captain Phasma, something like that. It's like a blue missile. You can see it in the background there slightly if you pause. But we get to see Captain Phasma marching in a second. That's presumably, I'd say at the same time, the First Order attacks Dequor, I think it's how you say it, Dequor? That's the resistance base that we saw them all on in the Force Awakens, and of course the First Order knows where they are. They were charging up the Super Starkiller base lasers to destroy them. They just didn't do it, so, I mean, maybe they should have got the fuck out of there quicker. Come on, guys. They know where your base is. I know you destroyed their whole planet. Maybe cut Kylo Ren up a little bit. GTFO, maybe. No. The other thing about Poe's X-Wing being blown up is, A, that's shit because I really like the design of, and the color scheme of his X-Wing, and B, now they're going to probably make another X-Wing for him to drive around this film, fly around, sorry. And you know what that means? They get to make another cool looking one and sell me another fucking toy and another fucking Lego. And Eve Beauregard will have to redo her tattoo. You get this slight shot of the Millennium Falcon in action. Is it safe to presume that's Rey and Chewie in there? I'd say no. Maybe it's someone else. I don't think they're going to keep Rey and Chewie as the go-to team for that ship. Although we know she can fly it, obviously, and that's kind of what they set up at the end of The Force Awakens. I just think sticking her in the ship when they're going to want her to be off doing something else, they're probably going to pass that off to a new team. You get one shot of Kylo Ren where he's like, looks like he's pointing his saber at someone like, fucking give me 10% discount, I'll fucking stab you with my stabby. Nah, he looks evil. Then we get my favourite shot of the whole trailer, which is Luke and with R2 next to him walking up to what I'm presuming is the Jedi Temple. It is on flames. It is in ruins. It is fucked, basically. Very similar shot, we can say, to the one we saw in The Force Awakens from the side. Well, only the hand where Luke puts his hand on R2 looks to be the same time period. So this is going to be another flashback and we'll get to see more of the Luke's Jedi and the Jedi Temple being taken down. The way he's walking up to it and he kind of drops down and puts his hand down like he's in defeat, like he's in shock, makes me think that he wasn't actually there when the temple was raided and everyone was slaughtered. Where was he? I don't know. That's interesting. Another question, where the fuck was Luke when all his pupils were dying? You get to see some space combat stuff happening, which is exciting because we didn't get any real space. Well, we got some planet terrain, you know, just above stuff with the Falcon and a couple TIE fighters in The Force Awakens, but we never got any true space combat. And you got, well, you did get the stuff on Starkiller Base, but you know what I mean? It's on planetary level. It would be good to see some good actual space battles happening in this movie, and especially after watching Rogue One, which was the best space battles in the whole Star Wars series so far. Really looking forward to this. You got A-Wings there, you got a new blockade of some sorts, X-Wings, TIE fighters. They'll probably introduce some new ships, I presume. There's some new ships described in Aftermath Empire's End, which I presume would show up. And then we get that shot at the very end that I was talking about before with Luke like standing in the entrance to what looks to be a tree, which, I mean, if he's inside a tree, it makes me think about that tree. I don't know if anyone, there was a comic book called Shattered, what was it called? Shattered Empire? Was that what is it called? It was one of the Journey to the Force Awakens comics. It was like a 4 series, and Luke basically goes to one of the Empires just after Return of the Jedi. He goes to one of these places and steals 2 Force-sensitive trees, and he leaves one with Poe's parents, and they grow it and whatever, and he's a little shit and like nearly destroys it when he's a kid at some stage. And he takes his other one somewhere, and there's a lot of shots of what looks to be inside a tree. So now I'm thinking, oh, they're finally going to explain why they did a whole fucking comic book about him having a tree that had nothing to do with The Force Awakens. We're coming back. It's all set up. It's okay. I trust everyone implicitly at Lucasfilm. Currently, maybe. Maybe not Pablo Hidalgo. No, fuck him. No, I trust Pablo's. Okay, so let's get to these voiceover lines, because they're probably the most interesting part of the trailer. Quick side note, I love the music. I love how they incorporate Rey's theme into the... No, they got... It's just... Oh, it's great. Anyway, the lines. So when I first see these books, I think automatically, wow, these must be copies or the original journals of the Wills. If you don't know what the Wills are, the whole idea is that George Lucas, when he was first creating Star Wars, he had this idea to use the Wills, or the Journal of the Wills, journals of the Wills, as a plot device. So more or less someone way in the future, maybe our period, because don't forget Star Wars happens in the galaxy far, you know, a long time ago. So maybe in our time period, someone's reading these books and they're reading the events of the movies that we're watching in the Star Wars trilogy, and these books have more or less been passed down. It was a convoluted plot device, and it eventually got dropped. It was used it was mentioned in the original Star Wars novelization for A New Hope. It's not really canon anymore, but they did make the Journal of the Wills canon once again in the Force Awakens novelization, which opens with on the front page it has like an excerpt from the Journals of the Wills, and they are once again mentioned in Empire's End, the latest and the last of the Aftermath trilogy, where these other dudes also have copies, or the original. I don't really know. It's like, how many copies of these things are there? I mean, if it's the Bible, there's a fucking million out there, and it's the highest selling book ever, but it doesn't seem that way. But there is another excerpt from the Journal of the Wills in Aftermath, Empire's End. So there's 2 times it's been used. Also, mention Baze Malbus, Chirrut Inu, if that's how you say it. 2 dudes from Star Wars Story Rogue One. They were guardians of the Wills. So their job's to protect the history, the book that's... It's all very, very hard to think about. It's very deep, like Star Wars lore, and what they're doing with it currently in the Star Wars universe isn't really known. But the moment those 2 characters are in Rogue One and they start mentioning it, I'm like, okay, so Last Jedi we're getting there. Because they're talking more about religions and these different offshoots of what people think of the Force and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, Guardians of the Wills, the lines. So this is the quote that's at the start of the Force Awakens novelization book. It is, "First comes the day, then comes the night. After the darkness, shining through the light. The difference, they say, is only made right by resolving of grey through refined Jedi light." Journal of the Wills 7477. So if you go through it like text by text bit, it's basically like really reading into it. And this is the theory that I've seen going around. This is my personal theory. This is a theory I've read and I quite like, and it makes sense. So first comes the day is like the old Republic era, the era in which the Jedi ruled the place. Then comes the Knights, the Empire's ruling, the Jedi killed off and all that things. Shining through the light, the difference, they say, is only made right by resolving of grey through refined Jedi sight. Basically meaning they kill off the Sith, now they need to kill off the Jedi, the grey, meet in the middle, come something new, and that's what we need. And I think this is what Luke's talking about at the end of the trailer when he was saying that the Jedi need to be killed off, the Jedi need to end. He's not talking like evil dark side, I'm evil now. He's reading these paragraphs, he's reading the Journals of the Wills, and he's reading this stuff about the first come to life, resolving of the grey, refined Jedi. Resolving of the grey, refined Jedi. And he's like, the Jedi need to end. Further than that, how you go about this, how he's reached this place, what he's been, I don't really. You can talk about it for ages and ages and try and make up your own fan fiction stories about what Luke's been doing and stuff like that. Sure, go for it. This is what I'm going to choose to believe until I'm proven otherwise or enough evidence points me in a different direction. But from now until you hear me say something otherwise, I'm believing that Luke is reading the Journal of the Wills, following its teachings, its lines and stuff like that. Which makes sense. And if he's been talking to Obi-Wan in Empire's End, they have a paragraph which basically links it to something that I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of cool and it might be a spoiler. They have a paragraph from another paragraph from Journals of the Wills that Obi-Wan basically, the retcon that Obi-Wan basically quotes in Empire Strikes Back. Also note, all of those lines, the voiceover that I said in the trailer basically links up to that paragraph in the Journal of the Wills.
Light, darkness, a balance.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
I liked the teaser a lot. I give it, I don't know, 8 out of 10. Thumbs up. I like Star Wars.